Hello everybody and welcome to round 2 of the 2020 Downforce Grand Prix World Series from the streets of Marrakesh in Morocco. Good evening to you. Jake Sanson here from the commentary box. If you've never seen this before, this is only the second weekend in the season and the second time we have gone racing in this fabulous championship. It is a very simple concept. It is a management league rather than a sim racing league, and each of our managers who have been selected from the Downforce Racing UK staff only have a few rules that they have to adhere to. They pick an ex-Formula 1 team that had never won a Grand Prix in Formula 1. No manufacturers are permitted, so no works entries. They choose 2 drivers who are ex-Formula 1 that didn't win a race. They choose an engine supplier that no longer races in Formula 1, any tyre company of their choice, and they're allowed to update their car based on the prize money that they receive through results every 2 races. So the updates and the manner and the power and reliability of the cars are the same as they were at Kyalami in South Africa. At the end of this race, they will then prepare for the third race of the season, which is at Bathurst in Australia. And that is going to be an absolutely fantastic race. We're all really looking forward to that one. There are 2 qualifying sessions. The fastest lap across the 2 sessions decides the grid for that race. And we will be telling you who has got pole position very shortly. First, though, a reminder for those of you who are not sure or just want another look at those glorious teams, who is going to be competing in this championship in 2020, the managers, their teams and their drivers. For the 2020 season, Prost Grand Prix return with Ford engines and Goodyear tyres, with team boss Tom Cairns choosing an all-Spanish lineup with Jaime Alguersuari partnering Pedro de la Rosa. British American Racing are back with that colour scheme, plus Playlife engines and a set of Bridgestones for Sébastien Buemi and Jean-Eric Vergne, with Tom Butterworth at the helm. Ryan Ferris has revitalised Onyx Grand Prix with Isuzu engines and shiny new Goodyears for Bruno Senna and Sebastian Bourdais. Goodyear tyres, Mugen engines and an all-German driver lineup in Nick Heidfeld and Timo Glock for Topher Smith's Super Aguri squad. Over at Simtech, Scott Woodwiss has given his 2 drivers, Marcus Ericsson and Stoffel Van Dorn, Ilmor engines and Goodyear tyres for their 2020 campaign. Adam Weller has made an all-Italian lineup for BMS Scuderia Italia as Gabriele Tarquini and Stefano Modena return to a Grand Prix car for the first time in over 25 years, with Judd engines and Bridgestone tyres. Manor are out for victory with Lucas Di Grassi and Brendan Hartley, with Cosworth and Pirelli joining up, courtesy of team boss Sam Hall. French outfit AGS are back again as Phil Kinch takes the helm and gives Alexander Rossi and Andre Lotterer some Mugen engines and Bridgestone tyres for their new season assault. There's a marital rivalry on the grid as Emma Butterworth will take on husband Tom as boss of the Arrow squad, Kamui Kobayashi and Nico Hulkenberg using Alfa Romeo engines and Bridgestone tyres. Shannon Forty will be looking to get off the back row as Dave Goddard delivers Life engines and Linglong tyres for Taki Inui and Jean-Denis Delatraz. Alex Goldschmidt will captain Minardi's first race for 15 years, with Mark Jenny and Anthony Davidson returning to their first ever Grand Prix team, with Lamborghini and Michelin on board. Mastercard Lola is managed by our youngest team boss Kai Bacchini as he gives an all-British lineup Cosworths and Bridgestones for the new season, Paul Di Resta and Susie Wolff. And finally, it's an all-Brazilian affair at Midland as Ben Johnston gives Enrique Bernoldi and Luciano Berti their comebacks, with Toyota and Bridgestone powering their charge for the title. Bring it on! So there you have it. There are your runners and riders, and this is the driver standings after the first race. Kamui Kobayashi, of course, taking victory at Kyalami after a thrilling race, with Lucas Di Grassi finishing second and Sebastian Buemi in third. He also picked up a bonus point, I should point out, for setting the fastest lap of the race, and despite not finishing, Nick Heidfeld scores because he grabbed the pole position, so he gets the bonus point for that as well. Otherwise, the championship order is as they finished in Kyalami. In the team standings, it's even closer than that because the Arrows Alfa Romeo squad are currently leading with 25, just a point ahead of close rivals BAR, and that is a very thrilling contest between those two. Manor currently in third place in front of Onyx, and then it is AGS and Lola who both scored well, and then we have Minardi who grabbed 2 points and a point apiece for 40 and Super Aguri for 40, their first and only ever point in the history of their racing career. There is one thing that we would like to show you before we get into the nitty-gritty coverage of the race itself, and that is our next racing league, which is going to be part of what is going to be called the Retro Racing Managers League, RRML, and it is this. Group C sports car racing will be our next big encounter. If you want to take part, all you have to do is register your email, downforceuk@hotmail.co.uk, send an email, and we will send a link, which is it's a small PayPal donation of just £5 to enter into the event. If you want to put your entries in straight away, the first 13 will be eligible to go through. If you want to double check that there are spaces before you make your payment, of course, then please do so. There is the rules. It is very simple. 13 candidates will be selected. It'll be on a first come, first served basis, and once 13 managers are selected, we will host a live draw to determine which of the 13 teams on the grid you will be given, and then it will be up to you to pick your 2 drivers, and you can pick any 2 drivers for each car, and you get 2 cars, so you can pick 4 drivers, and they all have to have they're all over the age of 30, and none of them can have won the Le Mans 24 Hours. They don't even have to have raced in it, but they do have to be over the age of 30, because these Group C cars, they are beasts, and they do need to be driven by expert racing drivers. So while I bring up the team roster once again so that you can see who is racing in what position, and the first picture that comes up, of course, is going to be that of the 40 team that scored so well last time out. We are going to have a quick word and a quick butcher with our managers who are ready to go racing once again here this weekend's race in Marrakesh. And it is going to be a very exciting battle out there, that is for sure. So let's have a catch up with a few of our managers who are ready to go. Let's talk to Adam Weller of the Scuderia Italia squad. Now, Scuderia Italia had a very interesting battle last time out. Tell us, Adam, how are your guys prepared for this the second encounter, I should say, of the new season?
Well, as we know, Gabriele Tarquini, despite his advanced age, is still a very active and competitive racing driver. So he's been hard at work in his private gym, and he's been in the simulator. Stefano Modena has been on the beach, listening to the Beach Boys and having a sex on the beach. The drink.
Absolutely. I'm glad you clarified that just in the nick of time. Goodness me, that could have got very bad indeed. But I have a feeling that this is going to be a race of attrition. Your guys did reasonably well last time. It didn't quite finish up the way it should have done. Can you guys get points?
Well,
there was a comment loaded.
BMS Scuderia Italia is a team with a good heritage in endurance racing, FIA GT championships and the like. I'm confident that in a situation where outlasting is key, we might stand a good chance. As it stands, we're going to need some more development budget. And the fact that Stefano is one of few drivers on the graphics that we have before us who is wearing a polo shirt as opposed to a race suit maybe tells you about 50% of my problem.
Fantastic. Okay, we'll see what happens on the streets of Marrakesh. Good luck, Adam. Let's turn to Tom Cairns. Tom, it's been an interesting one for the Prost squad. Obviously, not the result you wanted from Kyalami. Both cars out of the race, and an engine failure in qualifying as well for Pedro de la Rosa. He's still got a decent time in, but that's a little bit nerve-wracking going into the race, surely.
Well, my first thought was, is he going to be using an old spec engine which may not be performing as well as what he used in qualifying, which explains why he's up so far as he is. But I think what we've got to think is, and this is just my point of view, is that if this is going to be a shorter race than what it was in Kyalami, then reliability may not be as much of an issue. It's just a matter of just staying out of trouble, especially the opening few laps, because we don't really know what's going to happen. Anything can happen, anyone can win, which is why we love this sport so much. So fingers crossed, hopefully both cars will get to the end of the race, but there's some people are going to win, some people are going to lose by the end of it. Hopefully we'll win.
Sounds good to me, Tom. Thanks very much indeed for your update. Let's head over to the boss of Onyx. That is Ryan Ferris. You've got Sebastian Bourdais and Bruno Senna. Much faster in qualifying than they were last time out in Kyalami, although perhaps not necessarily as far up the grid as you would have liked.
No, they've put pretty respectable performances in. Bourdais starting, I believe, 2 places higher than he did last time out, and Senna did a brilliant job compared to Kyalami. So it'd be nice to see what happens. As what's already been said before, fingers crossed reliability isn't as much of an issue as it was in Kyalami, because Senna did have that engine failure quite early on into the race. And yeah, just hoping that the horsepower deficiency we got on the top runners doesn't play too much into hand as I thought it might.
Okay, sounds good to me. Good luck, Ryan, and good luck to Team Onyx. Over to the Simtech pit wall, and we have Scott Woodwis there, raring to go. You looked like you were quite frustrated after qualifying. The cars are quicker, but the positions, because it's so close here at Marrakesh, it's still not quite where you guys want to be.
Yeah, truthfully, we're a bit disappointed with qualifying compared to how we went on at Kyalami, where we had a car in the top 10. To be on the cusp of the top 20 and just outside it, I mean, it's not ideal, but the fact that it might be a race where attrition is going to possibly play into our hands if people can't keep cars off the wall, and if hopefully our cars hold out. Ultimately, the race pace of the cars seems good. We just need to make sure that we've got them there at the end by the checkered flag, and if we can come out of it with some points that we can start to apply towards, money towards developing the car and giving it a little bit more reliability, maybe that might be the focus going forward, because the one thing I'd rather not repeat is having both cars retiring with engine problems. So fingers crossed, we'll do what we can. 18th and 22nd, definitely not ideal, but I guess in this championship anything can happen, so we'll just have to wait and see and get them to do the best job they can, and fingers crossed they can pick something up from this race.
Okay, sounds fair enough to me. Good luck, Scott. Hopefully it's a great race for the team. Over at Shannon 40, Dave Goddard. Has the party finished yet? Taki Inui getting a point last time out at Kyalami. You guys must have been dancing in the rain.
Well, not exactly dancing, but Taki was absolutely overjoyed, as was I. All the team were to get the first ever point for the Shannon 40 team. All the sponsors loved it as well. Team morale is high. We've qualified ahead of one of the Scuderia Italia cars as well, so things are on the up for the 40 team. We've been able to spend a little on upgrading our telemetry as well. I've upgraded from a BBC Micro to a ZX81 Spectrum.
Sounds brilliant. We're looking forward to seeing what 40 get up to in Marrakesh. Good luck, Dave, and to the whole team as well. Over to Alex Goldschmidt on the Minardi pit wall. Now, Marc Genet did manage to pick up a couple of points last time out, and he was very close to the top 10 in qualifying. I think he's suddenly woken up and got on with this.
Yeah, I think so. The only unfortunate thing is we were hoping that Anthony was going to have the same sort of pace, but he was actually slower in the second session, and he's sort of like about 0.3 off of Mark's pace. But we're hoping he's going to have a bit more performance during the race itself. But Mark is very, very happy this time around. He said it was like an eternity trying to get out of the kitty litter in bloody Kyalami. Pardon my French there. But he just said he's got another thing to worry about, and that's what everyone's going to have to worry about. Very, very close proximity barriers if you get it wrong. So I've said to them both, okay, be calm, be consistent, but please don't whack a wing off the car.
How many wings have you guys actually got down there?
I think we've got 3 between the 2 cars themselves, and that's front and rear.
Oh, I see.
So as always, Skinflint, Sutton, Nardi. Just waiting to get some more points on the board so I can get some more reliability under us, and hopefully that can help with the aero package in the long run.
So if you accidentally see a Minardi running around in the second half of the race with a rear wing on the front, then you'll know why. Thanks very much, Alex. Good to hear from you again.
No problem, Jake.
Right, over at Super Aguri, Topher Smith. Now, lightning can't strike twice for you guys, surely this time. You guys had both cars on the front row of the grid at Kyalami, and it all went pear-shaped within the first 20 laps. But this time, the pace has suddenly turned around, and Super Aguri are actually on the back foot.
Well, last time was a bit of a bittersweet race, let's say, more towards the bitter side. It was great to see that the pace of the car was there, with Nick Heidfeld and Timo Glock locking out the front row. This time around, we're 14th and 17th on the grids, which might not sound that good, but if you consider that we're still within half a second of the pole position time, it's a very close field, and this is going to be a cracking race. And for my drivers, starting near the back of the grid, the only way is forward.
Sounds good to me. Hopefully we'll see those boys in red and white charge their way through the field. Good luck, Topher. We've got time for a couple more of our team bosses before we get going. Over at Manor, Sam Hall is there, ready to go. Sam, bitter, cruel luck last time out. It was so close. Brendan Hartley led the race on 2 separate occasions during the race in Kyalami before it all went wrong. But Lucas de Grassi salvaged a second place, so at least you guys are still fighting fit.
Well, yeah, we got some decent points in the bag, and that was the main thing. But yeah, we've got, I think, Bohemi's starting ahead of us. I'm not really too worried about him because you looked at how many crashes he had in the last race with the walls nice and tight. I think if anyone has a mistake, it's going to affect more than one driver, and hopefully we can make up places from there. I believe we're 10th and 13th on the grid. But yeah, there's other teams ahead that had reliability problems. So factor those in, we might be in for another podium or two.
Sounds fascinating. Hopefully it's going to be another podium for the Manor boys. Good luck, Sam. Finally, we turn to the man who's managed to engineer both his cars to the front row of the grid. It's Deja Vu. Only this time it's for AGS with their Mugen engines, and it's pole position for Alexander Rossi and second for Andre Lotterer. Phil Kinch is the man currently sweating buckets on the pit wall. How are your nerves, my friend?
My foot is going faster than Christian has healed Verstappen alongside Lewis Hamilton in the same car. We're not even going to consider that thought. I'm on bucket number 3 as far as the sweat's concerned. I am completely nailless on the fingers, and both drivers have had a stern talking to not to hit each other into turn 1, not to hit each other during the race at all, and to remember the golden rule of motor racing: don't take out your teammates and keep the team boss happy by just going and winning the race. So yeah, I'm at absolute panic station. We're talking DEFCON 1 as far as things are concerned in AGS. Yeah, can't wait. Looking forward to this.
This is going to be a lot of fun. Good luck to all of our team managers. Thank you very much indeed for playing again, and we are ready to go. Good luck to you all. So the battle is going to be absolutely raging as we get racing again here at Marrakesh on the streets of Morocco. First of all, though, before we go racing, let us take a view of the circuit as we ride on board with Jean-Eric Vergne in the BAR, managed, of course, by Tom Butterworth. The team is running second in the championship standings. They come down the main straight, and this is one of the key factors of this street circuit. There are a lot of straights, so this is going to be very punishing on engines, transmissions, electric systems particularly. Into that first chicane, it is a right-left to start off with, and then you come into another tight right. You pass the buildings on the left-hand side and then back on the throttle again. Just out of the left kink, you're so close to the wall on the right-hand side here. And this is where it's really going to be very telling, particularly towards the latter stages of the race when people are going to be pushing very hard indeed. And they are a very, very long time before they get to the braking zone. You want to start braking about 100 metres in, but this is a very prime overtaking spot. It's that quick left flick, but if you get it wrong on the right-hand side, there is a big wall. You come through this hairpin, sweeping out on the power. A very tough left-hander there. So many drivers hit that wall in practice. So now, hopefully, it's going to be a much cleaner business in the race. They come down this back straight and then up towards the first of 2 chicanes. It takes a long time, even in a Grand Prix car, to negotiate these long straights. And then they come into the braking zone once again. This time, it's a right, left, right. But you've got to be very careful as you negotiate that racing line. And drivers like to hang there, as you can see, to the left-hand side of the course and then tuck back out to the right. And it's a defensive line to stop drivers losing ground on the way into the braking zone for the next part of the course. And again, a very obscure driving line through this second chicane, but again, the drivers like to hang it out to the right-hand side, and that's because of this final hairpin. You brake at about 100 metres in, but it's a heavy, heavy braking zone for this one. Very, very short, very slow hairpin, and then they get back onto the power once again. But it is a very tough race circuit, this. As street tracks go, it's going to be a very difficult one. And all of the drivers know just what's at stake. About 1 minute 25 seconds for the lap, 32 times around. This will be a tough one. So let's talk you through the starting grid then for this race, and it is going to be an all AGS front row. Alexander Rossi just 0.003 of a second quicker than Andre Lotterer on the front row of the grid. Jean-Eric Vergne in third from Nico Hulkenberg in fourth position. Then it's Paul Di Resta and Kamui Kobayashi who run there together on the third row. Sebastian Buemi lines up P7 along with Pedro Della Rosa, and then it is Enrique Bernaldi and Lucas de Grassi who round up the top 10. Marc Genet and Sebastian Bourdais on row 6 from Brendan Hartley and Timo Glock, and then it is Bruno Bruno Senna within half a second, the top 15. Jaime Alguersuari alongside him on row 8. Then it's Nick Heidfeld and Stoffel van Dorn, Susie Wolf and Anthony Davidson from Gabriele Tarquini and Marcus Ericsson, Luciano Berti and Taki Inui. And then it is Jean-Denis Delatraz who lines up on the back row of the grid alongside Stefano Modena. It'll be a very tough race, that's for sure, but even 32 laps of this circuit are going to take its toll on our teams and drivers here at Marrakesh. You are in for an absolutely scintillating battle when we go racing here at the streets of Marrakesh. It's going to be a very tough battle. They all know what's at stake, and the racing is going to be rip-roaring and thrilling. So all we need to do now is get ourselves ready for the start of an absolute thrilling encounter. Hang on to your hats. This is going to be a good one. So it is time to go racing here on the streets of Marrakesh, and we are ready for the action. It is going to be 32 laps of racing around the circuit. Apologies for the slight delay, slight issue with our timing screen, but we are going to get it back together again just very briefly in time for race action here on the streets of Marrakesh, the second round of the 2020 Downforce Grand Prix World Series, as we get ready for the action to commence. But it is definitely going to be a rip-roarer, and obviously after all of the tension and drama coming into the race, a slight technical glitch is not what we wanted coming into racing, but we will try and get it fixed as soon as is humanly possible as we get ready to go racing for the second time in this 2020 Downforce Grand Prix World Series. And obviously all of the teams and drivers have been working very hard to get up to this point, and it is going to be very, very exciting, and a very dramatic start is definitely going to be in the offing as the competitors get themselves ready for the action. Hopefully we can get ourselves underway very shortly. Just a slight glitch, unfortunately. We will try and get that rectified as soon as is humanly possible. But obviously the competitors are ready to go, and they are absolutely biting and itching to get going. So we will try and get that sorted as soon as is humanly possible. But it is going to be a very exciting race once it gets going. I do apologise for this. We will try and get this sorted as soon as is humanly possible. So do bear with us. Don't go away. We are going to try and get this fixed as soon as is humanly possible. And when we get back underway again, we will be racing here at Marrakesh. Apologies for the delay. We're ready to go racing. The second round of the Downforce Grand Prix World Series is underway, and it's Alex Rossi who gets a good start straight away. Andre Lotterer with a good one. Kamui Kobayashi trying to size up the inside line, makes the jump on teammate Hulkenberg. Is trying to do the same with Jean-Eric Verne as they go into the first corner. Oh, there's contact. That's the Manor that's gone straight into the back of the Minardi under braking. So that's damage already for one of the Manors. Now I have a feeling that is going to be... I have a feeling that might be the Manor belonging to Lucas de Grassi, I think it is. No, my apologies, it's Brendan Hartley. So Brendan Hartley with damage immediately as the race gets underway. So a very difficult start, but it's Rossi and Lotterer out in front. Enrique Benoldi trying to make a move or two as he comes up into ninth position. Oh, Jaime Alguersuari goes straight into the back of one of the Simtex, and it looks like no major damage for either car. He just about got on the brakes in the nick of time, and that is Brendan Hartley slowing on his way into the pits. So Jaime Alguersuari goes straight through, no major problems there. But it's Rossi, Lotterer, Verne, Kobayashi, Della Rosa in the top 5. What a start from the Prost, as Della Rosa has managed to find his way into the top 5 very early on. And that's a cracking start. Oh, Brendan Hartley has ended up nerfing 2 cars off to the wall there. One of the 40s and one of the Midlands. So I think that's Inui and Bertie. So a couple of problems there in the field. That's not what he wanted to see. But Brendan Hartley is just struggling to make his way back to the pit lane. Rossi completes the first lap and leads the way comfortably. But Hartley is now down at the back. It's Rossi, Lotterer and Verne. Then it's Kamui Kobayashi in 4th place from Della Rosa and Hulkenberg. De Resta in 7th place in the Lola. Then it's Jene, Bernaldi and Buemi in the top 10. Then it's Stoffel Van Dorn way up to 11th. What a start from the Simtek. Absolutely storming his way forward. Davidson is in 12th. A great start from the Minardi as well. Then De Grassi, who has just lost out to Timo Glock. So Glock is into 13th. De Grassi now 14th place in front of Bourdais and Heidfeld. Then Senna, Ericsson, Alguersuari and Susie Wolf. And then we've got Tarquini and Delatraz. Oh, I think we got a problem. I think we've got a problem for De Grassi. Yes, he's got a loose wheel. De Grassi, second last time out, and now he's out of the race. That is a disaster for Lucas De Grassi. So his race is over, and just as quickly as Glory fell their way last time out, unfortunately... Oh, and that's Hulkenberg pulling off. Hulkenberg pulling off as well. So disaster for Hulkenberg. His race is also run. And that is absolute disaster for 2 of the cars in the race. Now, this is going to be the problem. If cars are dropping out, there's not a lot of room to get them moved. So it could take... Oh, and he's just been hit from behind. Somebody's hit him there. And that might be Stefano Modena. Is it Modena or is it Takianui? No, it's Delatraz. Delatraz hit his stranded car. So Delatraz is now going to have to make his way back to the pits for damage repairs. So that's gone terribly wrong. Rossi, Lotterer, Verne and Kobayashi. So a very exciting start to proceedings then, as already there's been a big battle. But Rossi leads Lotterer, Verne, Kobayashi and Della Rosa in the top 5. Then it's De Resta, Jene, Bernaldi, Buemi and Van Dorn. Delatraz is into the pits, having already seen Hartley go in, but we've lost 2 cars already. Oh, and that's another one. Another one. And again, we've got problems there. That's Bernaldi. That's Bernaldi, who was doing so well in this race. He was into the top 10. And unfortunately, transmission problems for him now as well. Now, we did say there was going to be a lot of retirements in this race because obviously some of the cars are still worn out from their run at Kyalami. And already they are dropping out of this race like flies. That's one of the reasons why the race distance has been reduced to just 32 laps. Because we felt that it was going to be a lot of pressure. And the hot African sun is definitely taking its toll on the drivers. So it's Rossi, Lotterer and Verne. Then Kobayashi in P4 from Della Rosa in 5th. De Resta, Jene, Buemi, Van Dorn and Davidson. So Van Dorn and Davidson have crept into the top 10. Bruno Senna in trouble there at the chicane briefly. But he manages to get away with it. So the Brazilian, and there are rumours going around about his job already being in difficulty, so he needs to obviously put in a good showing to get rid of those rumours. A big shout out to Briscoe Formula 2 and Stocks Kart racer Amy Duckett, who is watching along. Anybody else who wants to watch along and get a bit of a shout out in there is more than welcome to do so. We're on board with Lotterer. Jean-Eric Verne in 3rd position, pushing hard in the BAR. And still, the battles rage around the circuit. It is a tough old racetrack, this place, on the streets of Morocco. It can be very, very tricky. And you can see just how close the drivers come to hitting that wall there. And if you get it slightly wrong, miss your braking zone, even just a little bit, it can be very costly indeed. But already we've had cars dropping out of the race like flies. And that's Kamui Kobayashi. Is he losing a place? Oh, he nearly lost the place. I think he is going to lose the place, in fact. And indeed, Kamui Kobayashi loses out a position there as Lotterer goes into the braking zone for the chicane. And that is the very feisty Pedro de la Rosa, and he is getting on with this. And that's Kobayashi passing a BAR. Is there a BAR in trouble? It's Verne. He's got an electrical problem. Now, if he could get back to the pits in time, they might be able to reset the electrics. So into the pits comes Verne. And even though he's got an electric problem, what they can do at the pit lane here is they can reset the car, essentially. So he'll have a pit stop, and they will reset the car's electronics. Look, he comes into the pits, and that has completely reset the car. Now, so if you have an electrical problem, that is the procedure, basically. The drivers, all they can do is get back into the pits and hope that they can make it back and get the car reset so that they can continue racing again. So Rossi and Lotterer out in front for AGS. Paul Di Resta going to make a bid here on the inside of Kamui Kobayashi. And the Lola is into 4th position. Brilliant run from Paul Di Resta. He gets the move. So Di Resta is up a place and he goes up into P4. Kobayashi still being pushed here. In 6th place is Gene in the Minardi. Fantastic run from him so far. That's Gabriele Tarquini further back. We've got Buemi in 7th, Van Dorn is 8th, Davidson is in 9th position, and Timo Glock is in 10th at the moment from Bourdais, Heidfeld, Senna, Alguersuari, Ericsson is 15th from Tarquini, then Wolf, Berti, Inui and Modena, and then it is Verne, Hartley and Delatraz. So Verne and Hartley with their mechanical problems, Delatraz with a repaired front wing, and then Bernaldi, Hulkenberg and Degrassi, 3 very early retirements as we complete lap 5, and it's the AGSs that run in 1st and 2nd. New fastest lap from Alexander Rossi. And for Lotterer in 2nd place. But the AGSs are running very well here in the lead of the race. 1 and 2. They stayed out of trouble at the first corner. And now it is just about nursing those cars to the finish. Pedro Della Rosa, though, has been absolutely flying. He's brought the Prost up into 3rd position. And Paul Di Resta is now in P4 in front of Marc Genet in the Minardi. I did say that this race was going to be a tough one. And it's really been absolutely amazing to see a few of these teams step up and pay attention. But Rossi and Lotterer are absolutely on it as they come through that sweeping left-hand turn where we've seen so many drivers going off over the course of practice. But so far, so good. We've not had too many incidents or dramas there yet. And we're on lap 6 of 32. Drivers come through as they do on that particular chicane. The AGS is still running well. Kamui Kobayashi is getting back into the game and he makes the move on the inside of Gene. So Kamui Kobayashi puts the arrows back into P5. Good overtaking for the Japanese and Marc Genet is cannon fodder for him in the chicane braking zone. So far, so good. So this is going to be a very interesting race as we continue on. Oh, Luciano Berti having a little bit of a hiccup there. Not entirely sure what the situation was there for him, but certainly some difficulties as the racing continues in earnest. But the battle is going to be very much joined as the competitors continue to drive forward. And there will be an absolutely heroic drive through the field from this man, Luciano Berti, if he can get himself back up. He's the sole remaining Midland. Pedro Della Rosa, though, he's the star of the show so far. 3rd position for him. He's made some massive legwork in this race. And he has done absolutely beautifully to get himself back up into a fighting position. If he can just keep that going and keep that momentum up, then he and the team are looking for a really good finish. Is that a problem for Buemi? I wasn't sure. I think he's just lost the place. He hasn't lost too much. I wondered if there was an issue there. I thought I heard a bit of a dodgy engine noise from him, but so far so good. So Gene, Buemi, Van Dorn, Davidson and Glock in the top 10. They are the point scorers at the present moment. And of course there's an extra point in it for Alexander Rossi having scored a pole position. Oh, Bertie's crashed! Bertie's crashed there, and that's the penalty you get for making a mistake on that tight left-hander. And as you can see, Bertie misjudged it. And unfortunately for team manager Ben Johnston, that is game over for Midland. Both cars now out of it. And overdriving there from Luciano Berti, trying to get himself back into contention. So a big shame for Luciano Berti. Now the question is that going to impede the leaders as they come through? No, they've managed to get the car craned out of the way just in the nick of time. And I think that's as the likes of Rossi, Lotterer and Della Rosa are going to come through. They're starting the next lap, so it's there or thereabouts. It's been a very tough race so far. And all of the teams are going to be in a little bit of a very dodgy mindset. We're going to go down to the pit lane and see if we can have a word with a couple of our team managers on the pit wall. We'll just have 1 or 2 of them as things currently stand to see if we can have a word with a few. I won't dare to speak to... Oh, Timo Glock's going to have a go at the Minardi. And I thought there for a moment he was going to have his opportune moment. But this is going to be a very intriguing race for many of the teams. So let's see if we can have a word with a couple of the team bosses down there in pit road. Because there's obviously a few teams with an awful lot riding on this race. Let's see if we can get a word with Scott Woodwiss and his Simtech there. Oh, we just caught a little bit of team radio from Tom Cairns of the We just had a little bit of team radio there from Tom Cairns of the Prost, basically talking about turbulent air. Scott Woodwis, I want to have a quick word with you. Your boy has definitely got on with this. He's now in the top 10, Stoffel Van Dorn. He's really pushing.
Yeah, he had a superb start. He's up to, at the moment, the top 10. I'm not going to hedge my bets yet and say what a potential final result could be because I don't want to try and jinx it. But doing a good so far. Hopeful that Marcus can get up a few more spots. But if we can just get some points and get ourselves on the board by the end of the race, I'll be happy with that.
Sounds good to me, Scott. Thanks very much. One more word, I think. We can have a quick chat with Alex Goldschmidt, team boss of Minardi. Marc Genet managed to get himself right up into the top 5 at one stage. So definitely a strong race for the team so far.
Definitely the case. I mean, Anthony's been pushing like crazy, but he's still keeping it rather conservative, which is what we're looking for time around. And now he's running 8th position at the minute, so he's a couple of places behind Mark, so we're looking good. I think it's just if we can have this consistency all the way through and they just keep it on the black stuff rather than in the barriers like Bertie did a minute ago, we should be fine.
Okay, thanks, Alex. So it's obviously going to be a very tough race from here on in, and our teams, as you can tell, are obviously keeping an eye very firmly on what's happening around them. It's going to be a very difficult race to predict. Pedro de la Rosa running well in 3rd position. Rossi and Lotterer still leading the way for AGS. Their 2 cars are 1 and 2. Phil Kinch just concentrating and focusing on the road ahead. 3 seconds between the 2 cars. Pedro de la Rosa is 9 seconds back from Alex Rossi. But the American could be on course for his first America. Oh, Rossi's in trouble! I spoke too soon. He's got a puncture. Well, it's a very difficult race circuit this, and he's picked up a puncture. That is absolute agony for the race leader, and Alexander Rossi has picked up a puncture. He's out of the race. That is devastating bad luck. The car was running absolutely perfectly, but it must have broken something on the right rear, and that is agony. So now Lotterer leads on his own. De La Rosa now 2nd. Di Resta is 3rd. Kobayashi in 4th. And then it is Marc Genet back in the 5th position in front of Buemi, Van Dorn, Davidson, Glock and Bourdais. Well, a very tough race in the offing. Heidfeld is 11th now from Senna and Alguersuari. Then Ericsson and Tarquini. 16th place is Susie Wolf in front of Jean-Eric Verne and Taki Inui. Then it is Stefano Modena, Brendan Hartley and Jean-Denis Delatraz. With out of the race, Alex Rossi, the former leader, with a puncture, unfortunately ripping the car apart. And his race is over. Bertie is out. Bernaldi, Hulkenberg and De Grassi likewise. So some big names have already gone. But that means that both the Minardis are now in the top 10. Alex Goldschmidt on the pit wall must be having kittens as Davidson goes wheel to wheel with the Super Aguri. And that is going to put Davidson down to 9th. But Lotterer still leads the way. We had several leaders at Kyalami and it all went awry. So this is again going to be a very tough race as we complete lap 10. And we are at about 1/3 distance of the race now. Lotterer leads from Pedro de la Rosa. Paul Di Resta in 3rd position from Kamui Kobayashi and Marc Genet. Then it is going to be Sebastian Buemi who runs there in 6th position in the BAR. Then Stoffel Van Dorn, Simtek, Timo Glock in the Super Aguri, Anthony Davidson in Minardi, and the Onyx of Sebastian Bourdais holds the final point for the moment. In terms of teams scoring points for the first time, well, if De La Rosa stays where he is, he gives Prost a massive 18 points haul, and that will get them right back into the hunt. Kobayashi, of course, won at Kyalami, so another points finish would extend his championship lead. Paul Di Resta running well in 3rd. That could be his first podium. And the Lola team, who would have thought they'd be in a podium position at any point in their lifespan? That's the great thing about the Downforce Grand Prix World Series, resurrecting the old teams of the past and giving them new life in their own series. And what a fantastic battle it is turning out to be. Lotterer in the AGS leads the way, though, in front of the Prost of De La Rosa, the Lola of Di Resta. In 4th is Kobayashi's Arrows, and in 5th is Genet's Minardi. Then it is Buemi in the BAR, Van Dorn in the Simtek, Glock in the Super Aguri, Davidson in the Minardi, and in 10th place is Bourdais Onyx. So if it stays like this, then at least Simtek will get its first points on the board, as will Prost. But there's still a long way to go for the likes of the Scuderia Italia cars. 15th and 19th for Tarquini and Modena. And that is a place lost out to Brendan Hartley there for Stefano Modena. As Paul Di Resta goes through. In 3rd position. What a fantastic camera angle this. This series, the Minecraft of motorsport, it has already been coined. The fabulous vintage graphics from Jeff Crammond's Micropose-backed Grand Prix 2 sim, which came out in 1995. And it's once again still got relevance 25 years after its release. Isn't it great to see? Heidfeld is 11th, just outside the points. Then Bruno Senna in the Onyx. Then it's Alguersuari in the Prost. Ericsson in the Simtek and Tarquini. Taki Inui trying to stay in the race. That very nearly went wrong for the 40. But he's already taken the pressure off the team and himself because he's already picked up his first championship point, as he got a point last time out in Kyalami. And he's doing reasonably well here in Marrakesh. The car just needs to keep going, essentially. Verne and Hartley are currently in the comeback train. So they are trying to get back up to speed again. Della Rosa is currently being caught by Paul Di Resta. Di Resta, with the Cosworth engine in the back of that Lola, is starting to catch up to Della Rosa. Now, this is a very tense time for Tom Cairns, team boss of the Prost team, because Pedro Della Rosa's engine actually blew in qualifying. He's still got a decent lap time in just before it happened, but that doesn't mean he's out of the war zones yet. But they might just have hit a sweet spot with whatever they've repaired on that engine to get it going again. And to be fair, Della Rosa running well in second place in front of Di Resta and Kobayashi. Jenny in fifth position, but the race leader is Andre Lotterer in only his third ever Grand Prix start. I should point that out, because last time out he had a reasonable run until it all went wrong. And here in Marrakesh, he is leading. So it's Lotterer. There he is, looking very cool and comfortable at the moment at the wheel of the AGS as he goes through the chicane. Still looking good for a victory, but then we said that about Alex Rossi about 5 laps ago, and then he got a puncture which we think broke the back of the car, and that's why he couldn't make it back to the pits. He certainly had an entire lap to endure in one of the fastest circuits in the calendar. So Lotterer, Della Rosa and Di Resta in front of Kobayashi and Gene. That is Jaime Alguersuari we're looking at there, the Spaniard, who DJs when he's not racing. There's his teammate, Pedro de la Rosa, the all-Spanish lineup at Prost. And down to the first corner. It's going to be a really entertaining run as Lotterer leads. De la Rosa second. Di Resta third from Kobayashi and Gene. And then in sixth position it is Buemi from Van Dorn, Glock, Davidson and Bourdais. Now, time to have a look at the pit stop strategies, because I'm fairly sure that each of these cars are running a one-stopper. So yes, indeed, De La Rosa and Lotterer are going to be pitting in within the next 5 laps. Same for Di Resta. Now, there might be some teams that have decided to go for a bit of a gamble and gone long on the pit stop, but I doubt it, because this circuit is so fast that you would hemorrhage so much time. And I think that is the way that everybody's pretty much gone. They've all gone for a one-stop strategy. Alguersuari's in trouble. He's got a water leak. So Alguersuari is out of the race. He was out of the points anyway, but that's no comfort. So Alguersuari is out of the race. And that is devastating. So a big problem there for the Prost as it gets passed there by Jean-Eric Verne, who was our camera car for the lap around the circuit. But that is devastatingly bad luck for Jaime Alguersuari, who is out of the race now. And very nearly got driven into there by the 40. He was lucky, Taki Inui, there to avoid contact with that car as it was being recovered. But Andre Lotterer is your leader from De La Rosa and Di Resta. Then Kobayashi and Gene. Next up, it is Buemi and Van Dorn from Glock, Davidson and Bourdais. That's your point scorers at the moment as we approach half distance in this race. It's a lot shorter than the race at Kyalami, but then that is because it's very hot out in Africa at the moment at this time of year, and therefore it takes its toll on the cars. Bourdais has just swept past the Minardi. Now, was that because he got a better exit off the turn? Or no, Davidson's got a brake problem. Davidson's got an issue with the brakes. Now, again, that is something that he might be able, if he can get the car back to the pits, they might be able to do something about it. But at the moment, Davidson's in big trouble, and brake trouble on a circuit like this is absolutely catastrophic. So he's having to be very, very careful, just keeping himself under wraps as they get around the circuit. So a big issue here. But unfortunately for Anthony Davidson, there isn't really a lot he can do about it as he tries to get himself back up to speed again. There's your race leader, Andre Lotterer, and he is approaching one of the 40s to lap it on the 15th lap of racing. Oh, and there is Van Dorn! No! Oh, devastating for Van Dorn. The engine once again gives up the ghost just as Van Dorn was coming into his own. He had got into the top 5, or was certainly looking for it. And that is absolutely devastating. Wow. You got to feel for team boss Scott Woodward, whose cars were going beautifully. Right, into the pits has come... we've got pit stops coming through. It looks as though De Resta is the first of the big names to come in. So De Resta is in the pits, and that will drop him out of third position for the time being. I wanted to see if anybody else came in. Yes, there were a couple of other pit stops. So we'll just cycle through and see who else it was that came into the pit lane. Davidson manages to get back to the pits then with those faulty brakes, so his race isn't over. But what can they do? They'll have to try and cool the brakes down or something along those lines. But it looks to me as though a quick pit stop will fix the issue, whatever it might have been. There must have been something in the brake ducts. So they've managed to get him out again without too much drama. So Lotterer still leads the way. Della Rosa in second. Kobayashi third. Gene in fourth. Buemi in fifth. But that is, of course, because of the pit stop for De Resta. But it's devastatingly bad luck for Simtek. They were looking good for points in the top 10. And it's all gone terribly wrong for them, I'm afraid. So Lotterer, Della Rosa, Kobayashi, Gene and Buemi. As into the pits comes Jean-Denis Delatraz. So the 40 is being lapped by all and sundry as Lotterer goes into the first corner, still leading the way for the AGS team. Lotterer, Della Rosa, Kobayashi, Jenny, Buemi is the top 5 as Kobayashi pits in, as does Gene. Oh, not quite sure what happened there. Apologies. I think maybe potentially a faulty button was pushed. I do apologise. Mark Gene, 4th in front of Kobayashi now, but that of course is because the pit stops are happening. Also in his Heidfeld, also in his Senna. So several drivers coming into the pits together. That's Bruno Senna, of course, in the pits. You can see the graphic there. Oh, and someone with an engine failure. Someone's got an engine failure there in behind Sebastian Bourdais. I wanted to see, is that Timo Glock in trouble? It is indeed, for the second race in a row. Timo Glock in dire straits. Oh, the Super Aguri bubble bursts again. And now, is that Buemi in trouble now? Buemi's got a throttle issue. And Buemi's out of it. And he's going to hold up. I think he's going to hold up Bourdais. Well, Bourdais manages to get through, but Buemi's out. And so too is Heidfeld. Oh, sorry. So too is Glock. Within seconds of each other. That is devastating. So the yellow flags are out. And Timo Glock, indeed, you can see the confirmation there. He's also pulled out. So we've lost several drivers in the field. And Lotterer pits in from the lead. So Lotterer's in. So too is Della Rosa. And Delatraz in trouble now. He's got a suspension failure. He must have taken the curbs a little too hard. So Delatraz is out. They are absolutely falling by the wayside now at the halfway point of this race as Della Rosa pits in from second. And that means that Sebastian Bourdais in the Onyx should take the lead of the race here. Lotterer comes past the pits. Oh, Lotterer gets out just in front of Bourdais. So, in fact, Lotterer retains his lead as Tarquini pits in from 5th position. That hands P5 to Susie Wolf. But Lotterer retakes the lead. So, he was that far ahead of his rivals that even with Bourdais imminently due in for the pits, Bourdais is going to be one of the last people in. But Bourdais might just wipe the smile off his face by pitting in before he gets there. Hartley comes in from 12th. It's Lotterer, Bourdais and Ericsson at the moment. Ericsson is one of the last drivers to make a pit stop. But with the amount of drivers falling off the racetrack. And there's another one. That's Tarquini. Tarquini. Oh, devastating. He was in P5. I wonder if something went wrong at the pit stop there, you know. He had an electrical fault. Electrical problems for Tarquini. So a big problem there for the Italian. And his race, I'm afraid to say, is run. That's a shame. He was looking good for potentially picking up a point or two from this race. But now Marcus Ericsson finds himself at that. What a battle going on further back. That is behind Della Rosa. We've got Verne up in 5th position now, would you believe? Because he went a little bit... they've chosen a riskier strategy as De Resta tries to take on teammate Susie Wolf. And has to think better of it. Bourdais now pits in from 2nd. And I think Ericsson's in from 3rd. Yes, indeed. So Lotterer continues on his own alone. And I think we're also going to see... Susie Wolf come into the pits at the same time. Whoa! That's the arrows! That's Kobayashi! Kobayashi will not make it back-to-back victories. Kamui Kobayashi on fire down the main straight. So it's game over for arrows. There will be a different winner from South Africa. Whatever happens, Kobayashi is out. And that is devastatingly bad luck. Well, it's game over, I'm afraid, for Emma Butterworth and the Arrows team. Victorious in Kyalami, disastrous in Marrakesh. As Lotterer continues on his way from De La Rosa and De Resta. Jenny is 4th, Bourdais is 5th. That's how it works out after all the pit stops. And then it is Heidfeld in 6th place in front of Bruno Senna in the Onyx. Then Ericsson in 8th place for Simtek. 9th is Verne, 10th is Davidson. As Heidfeld has a go at Bourdais. And I think he's got there into P5. Yes, Heidfeld on the comeback trail for Super Aguri. An absolutely thrilling battle as Lotterer leads from De La Rosa and De Resta. Jenny is 4th and Heidfeld is in 5th position. Absolutely thrilling battle so far in this race at Marrakesh. But Lotterer still leads by about 7 seconds to Pedro De La Rosa. Has he got time to catch him up? Certainly in terms of the gap, it's not that big, but it depends on how quickly he's catching him. De Resta still trying to push hard on De La Rosa. But Lotterer leads. De La Rosa 2nd. De Resta in 3rd place. There is Andre Lotterer, still leading. Keeping it out of the wall for the moment. But all it takes is one subtle manoeuvre, one missed braking zone, one missed shift, and it can all change. But so far, Andre Lotterer is just keeping it nice and composed. De La Rosa 2nd. De Resta in 3rd place. Jenny in 4th. Heidfeld in P5. And that is your top 5 at the exact moment. De La Rosa still going well in 2nd. Keeping it out of the wall despite how close the proximity is to that wall on the left-hander. Bourdais in 6th place from Senna, Ericsson, Verne and Davidson. So that is your top 10 as it stands at the moment. So there could still be points in the bag for Onyx. There could still be points in the bag for Simtek, for BAR and for Minardi. And even Susie Wolf is 1 place away from the points, but we've only got 14 cars still running, would you believe? Wolf, Hartley, Inui and Modena are the last runners outside the points. Kobayashi out. Tarquini, Boemi, Glock, Delatraz, Van Dorn out. Alguersuari, Rossi, Berti, Bernaldi, Hulkenberg and Degrassi all out. So it is a very tough race here at Marrakesh. No wonder we had to restrict it to just 32 laps. De Resta's got a problem. He's got an electrical issue. Now he's picked it up at exactly the right moment because he can come back into the pits and reset. But that's cost him any chance of a podium, certainly for the moment at least. And it's going to be Marc Genet who inherits the podium. 3rd position for Genet. Absolutely incredible. So Lotterer leads, De La Rosa 2nd, Genet 3rd, Heidfeld in 4th place. Bourdais is in 5th position at the precise moment in time. So where did De Resta rejoin? Outside the top 10 is the answer. Senna in 6th from Ericsson, Verne, Davidson and Wolf. De Resta rejoins in 11th in front of Hartley, Inui and Modena. So a very tough race, but you can see all the time De La Rosa still pushing with 12 laps to go in this very tough but very, very demanding Moroccan Grand Prix here in Marrakesh. It's a tough old race. And before the updates, obviously, it was a decision taken not just by the teams, but also by the governing body that this race needed to be shorter to accommodate some of the reliability issues that were still going to be left over from Kyalami as Bruno Senna nearly collides with his teammate Sebastian Bourdais. He got on the brakes just in the nick of time, and that's going to give Marcus Ericsson a little bit of encouragement because now he's got a chance at the top 6 and he can sense it. We're on lap 22 of 32. Lotterer, De La Rosa, Genet, Heidfeld and Bourdais. So far, so good for Andre Lotterer. The AGS still running well. They scored good points last time out, thanks to Alex Rossi in Kyalami. But Andre Lotterer wants to get his name on the scoreboard. As, of course, does Pedro De La Rosa and Marc Genet, who is in 3rd position at the moment for Minardi. They never scored a podium in the entirety of their racing career, although if you were there in Australia 2002, you'd be forgiven for thinking they did, thanks to the party they had after the race for Mark Webber and Paul Stoddard, the then team manager. Brendan Hartley in trouble, and I'm afraid that's game over for Manor. A similar problem, water leak for Brendan Hartley, so it's game over for Manor. That's a shame. They were so close to the points. Yet again, they had a chance to score big here today, but it's not to be, and both cars are now out of the race. The smile is wiped away from team manager Sam Hall. Well, Andre Lotterer still going strong. De La Rosa in second place from Marc Genet in third. Heidfeld is fourth, and Sebastian Bourdais running well in fifth. So we've got about 10 laps to go. I'm going to take the opportunity to head back into the pit lane and have a brief word with some of our team managers, as things are going to get very, very stressful, I'm sure, from here on in. And there's a lot of very nervous and very tense team bosses down there in the pit lane. So let's see if we can grab a word with a couple of them. Let's have a word with Tom Cairns, your man De La Rosa in second position. Tom, how nervous are you guys right now? Tom Cairns. I'm not sure if we have Tom Cairns on the line or not. Oh, there we are. I was just going to say, Tom, Pedro De La Rosa running there in second place. How are things? The team must be quite nervous.
Well, they must be after Alguersuari's problem earlier on. But yeah, I think I would have taken second at the beginning of this race anyway, considering where he qualified. So I think I'd love to win, but I think second place would do for me at this rate. He's got a big margin over Genet at the moment, so I think it's just more important to just bring the car home now, I think.
Okay, thank you very much, Topher. Thank you very much, Tom, is what I meant to say. I was going to talk to Topher next. I do apologise. Topher, fourth position for Heidfeld, and he's certainly coming back at it. It looks like he might have a go at Marc Genet in the next few laps. What's the strategy?
I think the strategy for the time being is just get to the end of the race. We've already lost one car in the form of Glock after a water leak. So, yeah, the priority now for the team is just get the car to the finish. It would be great if Nick could get on the podium, but at this point in time, given that we only have 1 point in the championship, I think just see the end of the race, get some points on the boards, and see where we are at the end.
Okay, thanks, Topher. Good luck with it. So, very tough stuff at the moment from our team managers on the pit wall. And they obviously want to get it to the end of the race in fine fettle. But it's Andre Lotterer who leads at the present moment in the second round of the Downforce Grand Prix World Series 2020. Filling the void of COVID-19's cancellation of worldwide motor racing with some retro motorsport action in the form of Grand Prix 2. And Racing Dad, watching along, has written, I spent so many hours of my youth just watching races in GP2 like this with my custom liveries and fictional drivers. You and me both, brother. How do you think I got to be a motor racing commentator for a living? GP2 did a hell of a lot for me as a youngster. Oh, and that's one of the Scuderia Italia's in trouble. That is Stefano Modena. It's the only surviving one in the race, and Adam Weller was maybe hoping for a point in this one. But unfortunately, it's game over for him. An engine failure for the Judd. And that's a real shame for Stefano Modena. He might have had a point from this one in a very similar fashion to the way that Taki Inui did last time out at Kyalami. But for Stefano Modena, it's game over. That's a real shame. So both Scuderia Italias now out of the race. And they're going to have to come back in round 3. Next time out on Wednesday night at Australia at the Bathurst circuit, which is the first time that's ever run a Grand Prix of any kind. That's going to be very interesting indeed. But it's game over for Scuderia Italia. Meanwhile, though, it's Lotterer still leading. De La Rosa second with 8 laps to go. So Lotterer leads the way. De La Rosa in second from Genet, Heidfeld and Bourdais. And it is going to be a very fascinating end to this encounter. In 6th position behind the top 5 of Lotterer, De La Rosa, Genet, Heidfeld and Bourdais are Bruno Senna, Marcus Ericsson, then it is Jean-Eric Vergne, Anthony Davidson and Susie Wolff looking for another point there in 10th position. Then it is Paul Di Resta in 11th and Taki Inui in 12th. And they are the only cars still running. It really has taken its toll here at Marrakesh. And any more than 32 laps, I think, would have been absolute devastation. We would have had a Monaco 96-star race. We could still have it, of course. It's not done and dusted yet. As Vergne has a look at Ericsson. No, that's well covered by Marcus Ericsson into the chicane. No chance of a cheap overtaking move there from Jean-Eric Vergne. And Marcus Ericsson very much keeping himself in contention there in 7th place. So points are on the offing. How about this though? Marc Genet in 3rd place for Minardi. That could be their first ever podium. And that would be an absolutely fabulous result. So Andre Lotterer in the AGS leads Pedro de la Rosa in the Prost. And Marc Genet in the Minardi. Then it's Heidfeld in the Super Aguri. Bourdais is 5th for Onyx. His teammate Bruno Senna is in 6th place. And it looks like big points for that team. Then it's Ericsson in 7th. Verne is 8th for BAR. Then Davidson for Super Aguri is in 9th position. Davidson for Minardi, I should say, in 9th position. And then Susie Wolf in 10th place in the Lola. Di Resta and Inui are the only remaining drivers in the race after the top 10, because we've lost Modena, Hartley, Kobayashi, Tarquini, Buemi, Glock, Delatraz, Van Dorn, Alguersuari, Rossi, Berti, Bernaldi, Hulkenberg and Degrassi. But Andre Lotterer just keeps on ticking over laps. De La Rosa still running well in 2nd place. It's been a very easy-going race for him. He's not had to push too hard, although that magnificent start of his definitely got him into a decent position. Now, this is going to be an interesting dynamic. For 10th position, we've got the 2 Lolas now battling away. 10th and 11th, Susie Wolf in front of Paul Di Resta, who was in 3rd before an electrical fault. He had to come into the pits to reset the car. And that is now him down in 11th position, trying to get back into the race action. 6 to go for Andre Lotterer. And Marc Genet, goodness me, locked up there at the chicane. That could have been dangerous. He could have ended up striking the wall. That could have been very much game over. So into the final hairpin comes Marc Genet. Running well in that Minardi. Still going very well in the Minardi PSO3. Running there in 3rd position. Andre Lotterer breaking for the chicane. Just keeping himself in the mix at the moment. No major disasters. De La Rosa in 2nd place. Genet 3rd. Heidfeld 4th. And Bourdais 5th. It's going to be a very excited AGS team. Oh, Marcus Ericsson! Not again! Marcus Ericsson, did he lose the place or has he got a problem? He's got an electrical issue himself now. Now he's got to do an entire lap trying to get the car back to the pits again. Lightning strikes twice in a row for Simtech, just like with some of the other teams that have had double trouble. But hopefully Ericsson can get it back to the pits in time. 7th place was looking good. But obviously reliability is a big factor in this series. Lotterer is your leader. De La Rosa in 2nd. Genet in 3rd. Heidfeld in 4th place. And Bourdais in 5th. As Davidson passes the hapless Marcus Ericsson. And the 2 Lolas are going to get through as well. Devastating luck for Marcus Ericsson and the Simtech team. They've got speed and they've got 2 incredible drivers who have done amazing races in the last 2 encounters. Both of them are out of low grid positions. De La Rosa's in trouble. Look, he's got a problem with the wheel. De La Rosa in trouble. Now that is a loose wheel. He must have hit the barrier somewhere along the line. Now, can De La Rosa get that home? That's the big question. And if he can't, then Ericsson's going to have a chance of getting into the points again. But this is devastatingly bad luck for Pedro De La Rosa. I want to zoom in on him again. Yes, look, the wheel is absolutely wobbling like crazy. Ericsson in the pits. But if De La Rosa can't make it, he's still got a chance of a point. And he's not slowing. He's still trying to get the car home. But there's no way he's going to be able to finish like that. He's going to have to. Yeah, I think it's done more damage. And De La Rosa's out. Devastating. Pedro De La Rosa out from 2nd position. Oh, that is a bitter pill to swallow for Tom Cairns. Just like Simtech, the Prost team have speed, but no luck. And Andre Lotterer continues to lead here. It's looking good for him and the team. So Lotterer leads Genet in 2nd place in the Minardi. Oh my word. Marc Genet now 2nd for Minardi, 3rd for Nick Heidfeld in the Super Aguri, and 4th place for Bourdais, 5th place for Senna. So the Onyxes are 4th and 5th now. Double points for them. And they are the highest double points. So they are going to do very well in the team standings as Marc Genet continues on his way in 2nd. 6th place for Jean-Eric Verne. 7th for Davidson. 8th for Wolf. 9th for Di Resta. And I think it's going to be 10th for Ericsson in front of Taki Inui. Only 4 seconds ahead. But even with that electrical problem, Marcus Ericsson should still score the final point. It's not the way he wanted it to go, but at least he still has the chance to grab a point for the team. What an absolutely thrilling race this is turning out to be as Andre Lotterer comes into lap 29. Onto the back straight. And he's closing up to lap the 40. That is Taki Inui, the 11th place man. 11th and last. Unbelievably tough stuff. Oh, Susie Wolf battling away with teammate Paul Di Resta. They nearly take each other out. That could have been very nasty indeed. So Susie Wolf determined to beat teammate Paul di Resta. Paul had the electrical problem and Paul looks to be faster, but Susie Wolf is certainly not pulling any punches. She wants to get herself a decent finish again. So she wants to remain in front of her teammate. There's Marc Genet, second place as we are on lap 30 of 32. And Jean-Eric Verne having a big issue in the chicane. Goodness me. He almost hit the barrier and that really would have been game over in the BAR. So he's there behind the two Onyxes and he wants to gain ground. He's still on the fight back, of course, Jean-Eric Verne, after damage in the opening lap. And he's recovered to 6th position, but it's not easy to predict how well it's going to go for him. Have we got a car slowing on the straight? I thought we had somebody slowing further back there. No, my apologies. Davidson's still there in 7th and Wolf and di Resta battling away. Taki Inui gets out of the way of the race leader. I think he missed every single gear in the gearbox there. Goodness me, Taki, careful. But Andre Lotterer gets through without issue and laps Taki Inui for, I think that's the first time actually. That's the only time he's been lapped. Indeed it is. And he looks to be the only driver in the race who's going to be lapped. So Andre Lotterer continues on his way as he has just 2 laps to go. Everything in the AGS camp will be crossed. Fingers, toes, arms, shoulders, legs, elbows, kneecaps. Everything will be crossed with their man out in front. Having already seen an issue for the one-time race leader Alexander Rossi, it looks as though there are 25 points on the board for Andre Lotterer. Marc Genet is looking for a big points haul in 2nd for Minardi. And 3rd place for Super Aguri's Nick Heidfeld, with the Onyxes in 4th and 5th. That's going to be nearly a victory for the Onyx team because they'll score 22 points compared to Lotterer at AGS on 25. So Onyx are very much the dark horses here. They've managed to get 2 cars into the top 10 and it looks like they're going to stay there. But we are on lap 31 of 32. Heidfeld's got a loose wheel now. Heidfeld in trouble. Looks like he's hit the barrier somewhere along the line. Let's get a look at it. But there it is. Heidfeld in trouble now. Is Topher Smith about to lose a podium? And that would put Ryan Ferris's boy, Sebastian Bourdais, goes through. Bourdais goes through and takes 3rd position. And Bruno Senna can't be far away. So Bourdais going to get on the podium. And there goes Bruno Senna. So Bruno Senna goes through as well. Big drama. All it takes is one error in judgment. I said they can't afford to make a mistake. Heidfeld must have struck the barrier somewhere. And he's now got a loose wheel himself. Well, this is devastatingly bad luck for Nick Heidfeld. He drops to 6th position and he's out. Heidfeld's not even going to make the flag. And that means that Taki Inui, I'm fairly sure, is going to take the victory. Taki Inui's going to take the point, I should say. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But Nick Heidfeld, sadly, is out of the race. And Sebastian Bourdais is going to snatch the victory in the battle for 3rd position. So Bourdais will snatch 3rd. His teammate Senna will be 4th. The Onyx team are going to get a brilliant result here. Verne will be 5th. 6th position will go the way of Davidson from di Resta, Wolf, Ericsson and Taki Inui, would you believe, will get a 2nd points finish in as many races. Andre Lotterer, goodness me, Lotterer nearly losing it on the final lap of racing. That could have gone terribly wrong for Andre Lotterer. But he is just about going to bring it home. I'm not sure he can believe what he's about to do here. In his 3rd ever Grand Prix race of any kind at all, he is going to come into that final hairpin and the AGS Mugen is going to take its 1st ever win in Grand Prix racing. The Danfoss Grand Prix World Series race at Marrakesh. Round 2 is won by Andre Lotterer. Fantastic performance. Andre Lotterer wins in Marrakesh. What a truly fantastic victory. And there is a point for Taki Inui. He comes home 10th again. Brilliant. 2nd place, though, is going to be Marc Genet. Minardi are going to have an absolute field day with this one. Marc Genet comes through and gets his best ever finish in a Grand Prix race. And Minardi's 1st ever podium in 2nd. Absolutely brilliant. Bourdais out on the final lap. Bourdais had a problem. What happened to Sebastian Bourdais? Bourdais had a problem. He's got a loose wheel as well. He hit the barriers. So Bourdais, I think, is going to be classified as 9th. So Bourdais drops from 3rd position to 9th. And that is going to give the podium away to Bruno Senna. So Senna is going to get 3rd unless Verne beats him across the line. So Senna is going to get third. There he is. Verne in fourth position. Davidson is going to come home in fifth place for Minardi. What a race for Minardi. Second and fifth. The Lolas come home in sixth and seventh. The rest that did get past Susie Wolf. Marcus Ericsson is going to bring the Simtek home in the points. Whatever happens now, he will be classified in the points because he is in the last lap. That is a bit of a sigh of relief for Scott Woodwis after the devastation of Van Dorn's retirement. They are going to put some points on the board for Marcus Ericsson. They will put 4 on the board for Simtek, and that gets them off the board and rolling, and that will help them in readiness for the next race. But what a dramatic one, and it's Andre Lotterer that takes the victory. Well, that really couldn't have been more thrilling if you asked it to be. And there is the official confirmation. Andre Lotterer takes the win in front of Marc Genet with Bruno Senna, Jean-Eric Verne in fourth, Anthony Davidson in a heroic fifth place there, Paul de Resta in sixth in front of teammate Susie Wolf, then Marcus Ericsson, Sebastian Bourdais drops to ninth in the end after striking the barriers himself at one point and giving a loose wheel. And Taki Inui in the points again. That is absolutely astonishing. Well, an absolutely thrilling race, and we knew we were going to get one of those kind of races here in Marrakesh, but I'm not sure any of the teams were prepared for just how thrilling those closing stages were going to get. But it's been better for some than others. And, well, I'm going to have some very interested team bosses to speak to on the pit wall. So let's go down to the pit lane now and have a word with our team managers who have been absolutely inundated with drama aplenty. Let's go to Phil Kinch, team boss of AGS. Phil, it was bittersweet to a certain extent because that could easily have been a 1-2. Problems for Alex Rossi, but what a victory for Lotterer. Brilliant drive.
That was an absolutely stupendous performance from Andre. Really happy considering his real bad luck back in Kyalami with the retirement. We're going to look at Rossi's car and try and figure out what happened there because the pace was proven in qualifying in practice that he should have been up the front as well. But vindication for Andre. Really happily for him for the win, especially in a race that had such high attrition. Really, really happy with this. And yeah, as per normal, we'll go back, we'll analyse, and we'll get ready for Bathurst and see if we can go for another podium visit.
It's going to be a very difficult race next time out in Bathurst, but obviously there's going to be some updates. Where do you think that the package needs to evolve?
It's difficult to say. Bathurst it's a track of two halves. It's a very tight and twisty part over the hill and down the other side again. So very difficult. I think it's compromise once again, which is the aim of the game. If you can compromise and you set up and come out on the other side smiling, as we have, then it's going to win. So yeah, it's going to be very difficult to try and figure out.
Fantastic stuff. Congratulations, Phil. A brilliant win for the AGS team. Well done. I'm going to turn to Alex Goldschmidt next because in second and fifth place, Alex, you may not have known this going into this moment I'm talking to you, but Minardi have actually scored the most points of anybody in the race because they have 18 points with Marc Genet and they have 10 with Anthony Davidson. So you actually score the most points here this weekend in Marrakesh. How do you guys feel?
I think in the words of Mark Webber, you beauty, we'll probably be good around about now with a minor expletive in the middle, but obviously we're pre-watershed, so I can't say that, unfortunately. But yeah, team is absolutely over the moon. I think we found it was the with Anthony's car with the brake problem that he had. It was just the pads were just stuck, so we managed to get that all sorted out, get the new set of pads on the front of the vehicle, got him back out there, and he just kept it calm, kept it composed. But yeah, speechless. Looking forward to going back to Mount Panorama. Great track. Hopefully we might have a bit more luck heading down Conrod. In places like the Cuddy and Hell Corner. Yeah, it's going to be a great experience. But yeah, we're just going to sort of enjoy a little party after that welcome result, and great job from both guys. And we marked from P11 to P2, and then Anthony from 20th to P5. I couldn't say that I couldn't really say any more. I'm proud of both guys and the team as well. They're really, really happy with the way that the results have panned out in our favour this time around.
Absolutely fantastic. A great performance and well done to Minardi. Good job. Let's hand over to Ryan Ferris. Ryan, for a long, long time in that race, and certainly for all but the last 90 seconds of it, it looked as though you guys over at Onyx were going to get the most points from the weekend with 3rd and 4th, but problems for Bourdais on the final lap. It looks as though he struck the barrier, but Bruno's still picking up a good podium.
Yeah, I'm really happy that with Bruno. It was a very tough start for both drivers with the kerfuffle that was the first corner. We lost out a few positions in that melee. But I think Bruno managed to eventually come from 18th all the way up to his 3rd place. So he's done a very good job. I did give him a bit of talking to at the end of the last race, but no, he's really performed. And Bourdais was just a shame that he struck the barrier.
And of course, now you've got the very interesting scenario heading into next time out at Bathurst. Do you think that the team is going to go well there?
I'm not sure. We're still very sort of optimistic with how things are going. Like I've said previously, it's a completely brand new engine. It's quite underpowered as well. So we are looking maybe to make some form of adjustments to the engine. But yeah, it's anything can happen at Mount Panorama.
Fantastic. Good performance today. Really, really good job. Let's have a chat with the next person I want to have a speak to, which is going to be Scott Woodwiss. Scott, that was a very tough roller coaster race for you guys in particular. At one point, I think there was a good chance for Van Dorn to have picked up a podium from that race. Marcus had his problems, but to get some points on the board, you must be quite relieved with that after everything.
I think relieved is one word for it, yeah. I think after everything. And it was very tense when we saw that Marcus had the electrical problem, but he was able just to bring it round steadily. We got him back in the pits, and we at least got him back through to be able to get to the end of the race, which really helped. Yeah, it's disappointing. The thing is, I'm happy with both drivers, and I'm happy with the car in terms of the pace, in terms of where it can get through. I mean, Stoffel made a sensational start in the first couple of laps to get through the field and get to highs where he did, and he was up there in as high as around the top 5 at one stage. So I've got no issues with the car. I've got no issues with the drivers. And truthfully, no issues really with the amount of horsepower we've got in the engine. It's just the reliability. So I think that's something we're going to focus on mainly going for Bathurst going onwards, because it's proving as though the package overall is solid in race trim. Qualifying, maybe not our strongest a bit, but we've got decent, solid and consistent race pace. So I think that going forwards, we're going to focus on making sure the cars can get to the end of the race, and that should be the last sort of how many cars make it to the checkered flag. And I think the aim for the next few races is to try and at least get both cars home and both cars in the points as often as possible. I don't think we're the outright fastest car out there, but I think we can hopefully be one of the cars which, when it's all said and done, we can pick up the points when everyone else is dropping out from particular issues. So a little bit bittersweet, but I think it's just, definitely a relief that we finally got some points on the board, finally got some budgets to use on improving the reliability, and we'll see what Bathurst brings. It's going to be incredibly tough. It's a very difficult circuit, but we'll see. Hopefully more points in a couple of days' time.
Sounds good to me, Scott. Good job from everybody in the team. Well done. Over to the Shannon 40 squad. And Dave, you came into this race season expecting nothing, absolutely nothing. You were here for a laugh, and in 2 races in a row, Taki, he's got a point. I think he's got something here.
Well, I think Taki's taking this perfectly seriously. I'm very impressed with him. He kept his nose clean today, kept out of the way. Shame about Jean-Denis, a little bit erratic. He broke his suspension over one of the chicanes, so we just need to get him a little bit tidier, and hopefully he'll be up there maybe threatening for points as well. But Taki has exceeded all expectations. It's brilliant, and he's looking forward to Bathurst already.
That run in the Lotus a couple of years ago has clearly got his thirst for motor racing back again. It's going to be really exciting to see how he goes for the rest of the season. Well done. So let's talk to the guys who came so close. Topher Smith, first of all. Topher, it was looking so sweet for Super Aguri this time. Okay, problems for Timo Glock, and it looked as though it was all going to go wrong. But unfortunately, Nick was one of the many towards the end of the race who just got it wrong.
I mean, it's super disappointing to have that happen to Nick. He drove an absolutely fantastic race up until that point. I don't actually know what happened to cause the loose wheel. I think he might have scraped a barrier or something, but I didn't see it on the screens. So I'll have to have a chat with him about it when he completes his walk back to the pit lane. But yeah, it's been overall a very disappointing start to the season. I mean, we got a point from locking out the front row in Kyalami. We retired both cars very early on in our race. Thought we might get a car to the end this time. Came 2 laps short. So yeah, like the only positive that I can take is that the car seems to be quick, but we just need to work on our reliability, and that's going to be our focus looking forward to Bathurst.
Okay, unfortunate for you guys. Good luck next time out. So let's have a word with Sam Hall. Sam, it was obviously always going to be a very difficult race for you guys, and it didn't start very well. And unfortunately, I think as the race went on, it became very clear this wasn't going to be your day.
Well, no, I actually think that they might have hit each other at the turn 1 chaos. I think Brendan may have gone in the back of Lucas from what we could see on the pit wall, which obviously didn't help. We couldn't fit all the fuel into Hartley either. We couldn't get the fuel into his car to stop him and make the place up that way. And then obviously the water leak just that did it for us. But the championship's close. It was different guys on the podium. So I think we're still in a good position overall. I think I think that Lucas might still be near the top of the order.
Okay, well, hopefully when we come to Australia, there's a better day for you. Take care. Have a good one. And let's move on to Tom Cairns. Tom, it's a very, very disappointing day for you guys. I mean, for a lot of that, Pedro de la Rosa was the star driver. If I have to pick out a driver of the day, I think I would pick Pedro de la Rosa to get himself out of a reasonable grid position, to charge up to third position and hustle the AGSs, and he looked good for second place. What went wrong?
Well, judging by the problem, it looked like a loose wheel, which is a common feature for a few of the other guys as well. So I don't know if he hit the barrier or whether something to do with a vibration had caused the wheel to come loose. But whatever the cause of the problem, it's a really, really disappointing day, because now that's 2 double DNFs from 2 races for my team. So all of which has been reliability related. So I think I'll know what I'll need to be spending before going into Australia on Wednesday night, really. So yeah, it's a massively disappointing day for the team.
Unlucky, Tom. Hopefully you'll be back to your best in Australia. Well done. And finally, we come to Adam Weller of the Scuderia Italia team. Adam, you guys had reasonable expectations for this one. I think the race was pretty much decided as soon as Gabrielli had the problem, but up until that point, he was knocking on the door of the top 5. He can still hack it, can't he?
Well, I mean, this circuit in particular is one that should have suited Gabrielli, of course, because he competed here in the World Touring Car Championship, one of the drivers with prior experience. But unfortunately, yes, the Judd engine let go. I feel like it might be partly my fault. I actually hand received the Judd motors, and I did drop.
Oh dear!
I feel like that might have been the one. My congratulations to Phil De Kinchi, and as for Bruno in third place, I think Sacha Baron Cohen really excelled in that role.
Thank you very much, Adam. We'll see you once again for fun and games at Bathurst. Good job. Well, that pretty much brings to the end of proceedings our conclusion to race action here at Marrakesh. It's been a fascinating and very enjoyable race here on the streets of Marrakesh. We're going to get ourselves ready for the next one, which of course will be taking place, as we mentioned already, at Bathurst in Australia. And boy, oh boy, is it going to be a tough race. They all know just how difficult it will be as things continue on. If you want to get onto the grid yourself, you can email us or you can like and subscribe to us. Our website is downforceracing.uk, and you can find us on all social media channels, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. If you want to get on the grid, then all you have to do is drop us an email, downforceuk@hotmail.co.uk. And as we mentioned before, we are opening the board open for our next major project, which we all hope is going to take place starting from next week. And that is our Group C Sports Car Challenge. If you want to manage a team, drop us an email and let us know. We will put you into a live draw for who is going to be managing which team. So it's going to be really, really exciting. Thanks very much for watching the Grand Prix of Marrakesh. Next time out is at Bathurst in Australia on Wednesday night. I'm Jake Sanson. Thanks for tuning in. See you then.